Right, well, I've spent all my working life working for the NHS. I have seen the situation or the establishment evolve totally from the day I started to the day I retired, and not always in a positive way. I have seen many immigrants or foreigners or whatever you want to call them come and contribute wonderfully to our society. They have brought specialisms, they have contributed without any question, but something has to be done because our public services can't cope.
And you think that leaving the EU might be the way?
It might be. I'm yet to be persuaded conclusively, but it might be.
Well, we'll come back to the end and see if you're persuaded. Romesh, you start on this.
Well, I mean, my biggest issue with regards to this issue is the fact that all of the sides in this argument seem to be using scaremongering tactics to, with regards to immigration. Mr. Farage said that we need to get control of our borders because if we don't, then there'll be an increase in terrorism. I think that's exactly the type of scaremongering that worries me, and those kind of sentiments I find frightening. You know, you look at terrorist atrocities that have happened in England, for example, the 7/7 bombers. Three of the four of those were British-born. You know, the people that murdered Lee Rigby, both of those British-born. So you're looking at a situation here where people are cultivating a distrust of immigrants and immigration and ignoring what they've contributed to the UK in order to create this sense of fear so that all of a sudden we don't want immigration to happen. And it's not just that side, you know, also David Cameron's guilty of it as well. I saw a speech where you were talking about, you know, this sort of fear factor shouldn't come into play with regards to this debate. But David Cameron's unacceptable sort of comments about this jungle moving from Calais to the south coast, should we go ahead with exiting Europe, is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, if I want to hear proper economic arguments. I don't want to hear, oh, Kent's going to look a bit dodgy if this happens. Do you know what I mean? I want actual real arguments. And if that's not scaremongering, I don't know what it is. The fact of the matter is that it was such a good example of scaremongering that UKIP accused David Cameron of scaremongering, and that's their territory.
Nigel Farage.
Well, there are lots of arguments about the pros and cons of immigration. And, you know, Jennifer talked about the National Health Service. I mean, it's very interesting that cancer specialist Angus Dalgleish was saying this weekend that the reality is that we have a National Health Service now that is available to 508 million people. Now, that's not the number that are using it, but it's available. And actually, you're right. Whether we look at hospitals or we look at primary school places, our public services cannot cope with a British population that is now rising by 500,000 people every single year. But that was not the question. That was not the question. And the fact that two of the Paris bombers got in through the Greek islands posing as refugees, again, important though that debate is, and I certainly wouldn't want to scaremonger over it, but I do think we should protect ourselves against those things if we possibly can. But the question, and it's a key question, and it's a key word, was, is Brexit the only way that we can control it? It's the only way, Jennifer, that we can control immigration, because the fact is we are locked into something where we have a complete open door to 500 million people. That is a fact. Any one of those 500 million people can come to Britain. Now, when we were in a political union with France and the Netherlands and Germany and countries that were roughly similar education standards, income standards, it wasn't a problem. But now we've let in countries that are very much poorer in Eastern Europe, and we see the miseries that the South are going through with a Eurozone that is about to go back into crisis. We realise that it's actually irresponsible to have a total open door. We can't predict what public services we need. We've no idea, within the nearest couple of million, who will be here within the next 5 years. And what I want to do, and I'm not against immigration, but I'm for controlled immigration, I want us to exit political union, to have a trade agreement, but in terms of immigration policy, I want us to have an Australian-style point system where the people that come to Britain have got skills to Britain.
OK.